Okay, we'll try that again. Sorry about that. Good morning, everyone. We're going to call the August 8th, 2024 Ottawa County Planning and Policy Committee meeting to order. Our first item on the agenda today is public comment. If anyone in the audience would like to make a public comment, please approach the podium and you have 3 minutes.
Roger, perhaps you need to back up just a little bit. You're pretty loud
Okay,
coming across.
does that sound good?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's kind of bouncing around over here.
Okay. Good morning.
For the portion of the township, and after some previous testing, these are omnidirectional mics, so you are able to go around the edges of them and still be okay. And surprisingly, I have nothing to say about the county commission. The American Red Cross has declared a blood emergency. I'm advocating that people go out and give blood. Most of it is being attributed to the overheating in most of the country, and we are in an area that is not. So please give.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Okay, there'll be another opportunity towards the end of the agenda. The first item for action would be the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
So we have a motion.
Support.
Support. Any comments, questions? Okay. All those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. Next item is the approval of the consent resolution, which includes minutes from the July 2nd, 2024 Planning and Policy Committee meeting. Entertain a motion for approval for the consent resolution.
So, second?
All right. Any comments about the minutes? Okay. All those in favor of approving the consent resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. First item for action today is the Idema Explorers Trail easement. I see we have Kurt Terhar in the audience with us to kind of take us through this one. The suggested motion would be to approve acquisition of an easement from the estate of Felix Bernard. I'm not even going to try to say the last name, for construction of a portion of the Stearns Bayou segment of the Idema Explorers Trail at a cost of $15,790.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion and support. Good morning.
Good morning. And here I am again talking about easements for our trail. Lots of them going on, but this is a particularly important one. It was discovered during a little too late, in my opinion, that the road right-of-way for the Stearns Bayou Bridge on the east end of the bridge does not match the road right-of-way that goes east from the bridge. So no matter what the cause of this was or when it was discovered, it gave us a problem. We needed a little extra property to fit our trail in because we're actually widening the bridge. If you're familiar with this, we're widening the bridge 14 feet. And when you get to the east end of the bridge, that would put it out onto private property. So thankfully, we have a willing seller there that was willing to work out this easement with us, and this will resolve that issue permanently for both us and any future road commission or those kind of issues that may come up. So I'd love to get this taken care of and get this worry off.
Commissioner Bergman?
So, Kurt, when is this going to be finished?
I wish I get that question all the time.
Yeah, they're still working on the bridge, right?
They're working on the bridge. It's going
It's-
very slowly.
Yeah, it's not, and you can't get through.
You can't get through. So the intent always was that as soon as that big crane could get off of the bridge, that they would open up a lane that would allow you to go one way or the other at any particular time. So I've been trying to tie it down. We have been very frustrated with this contractor and the time it's taking. They are coming up in September on some deadlines, and that's when the rubber will hit the road for them. They will have to start
So,
paying some penalties for being late.
okay, so until this, this trail is finished, you'll have to go on the road for a little ways, to pick up the trail. Is that correct?
If you want to go on the trail,
On the trail, on a bike?
yes, right? So you can go out on Mercury Drive to 144th Avenue.
Yep.
And that's where we were hoping to get
Yep.
there, but no, so you can go south on 144th and then get on Lincoln, but yeah, you can't go east there. And
Yeah, I
so-
know. Right.
So, but that's why this is a critical link in the
Yeah.
whole trail system and
Yeah.
we've been working on it for
Yeah.
many years.
It's quite a detour. I took it one time.
Well, and
It's-
yes,
It's a big detour.
yes, and I've had people on both sides of the bridge call me and wondering what's
Yeah.
up because it is a hassle.
Yes. Right.
Any other questions for Kurt? Kurt, does this easement give you guys any ability to move through the schedule a little quicker? Like, is this because it's, right now it's private property and we can't really
Yeah,
encroach
they have
until?
been able to do, I mean, it may have caused a problem earlier, but because they're behind, it hasn't caused a problem.
Okay.
Let's just say it that way.
All right, so we have a motion and support. Because this is, an acquisition, I think we should go to a roll call vote on this one.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
Mr. Kleinens,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Bergman.
Yes.
Mr. Belknap,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. Don't go too far, Kurt. I see capital improvement plan with parks has got a lot of stuff on there. I was just joking. The capital improvement plan has a lot of parks items on there and I didn't know if you would be.
Oh, you want me to stay around? I can, absolutely.
Okay,
I didn't realize that was going to be on the agenda today, so.
Okay.
But I can hang around. Sure.
all right, thank you. Well, yeah, we'll get there. All right, is everything okay with the audio?
I think it is now.
Okay,
Yeah.
They were
good,
saying
good.
that the mic was a little soft, but
Oh, at
then
the
they said it
podium?
resolved. Yes, so
Okay.
hopefully it'll be good.
okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is an update or a review of the purchasing card policy with a suggested motion to improve or to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the revised purchasing card policy for a first reading.
So move.
Motion is there support?
Support.
Motion and support. Okay. I think I'll look to staff. Karen, I see this was an item that you had included a memo and I know there's been a lot of work on this, so would you mind taking us through?
Sure. So we started working on this policy really when we updated the travel and meal policy, we went to a per diem for food. So we saw a lot less need for P cards because we no longer purchase food on our P card. So there was immediately a reduction in the number of employees using their P cards because now when you travel, you're just reimbursed a stated amount depending on where you travel. Excuse me. And so we used to reimburse like, I don't know, $12 for breakfast, $16 for lunch, or up to, and so on and so forth. And so you used to use this P card and get reimbursed for actual meal expenses and submit all your receipts. And so when we got rid of that, there was an immediate drop in the number of cards being used for that purpose. And so as we, purchasing has an advisory group, and so we met with that group and talked about some of the potential changes without inhibiting their ability to use cards or do business. And so what we really came up with is there is kind of this kind of two tiers of employees in the county, some that really need the higher limit still. I think initially we were asked, hey, could you just lower the limit? But there really still is that need for employees that need that higher limit. So that $2,500 limit, which we were comfortable with as a purchasing group. And then, but there is still, if, and we didn't want to just leave it open-ended, like pick any dollar amount you want, department head,
Right.
500, 800, 300. So we really wanted two set amounts. So we selected that second group because there's hotels a lot of travel still requires a hotel stay. So if you're booking your hotel or airfare, it's convenient to do that on your county P card. It's more convenient for us to process them. So we kind of created this second tier of P card holder. And then there's an annual review process that we go through to just get those P cards in front of the director, have them look at the use, have them validate that they're employees, that they're still comfortable with everything they're seeing, and then go over and just kind of do this annual audit. And then at that time, we can kind of reevaluate if those thresholds are accurate. So we've reviewed that with that advisory group and shared. Also, when we were doing the audit this year, we shared that this was our plan as we were doing that audit with all the departments and asked if they had any concerns and to come back. We received that they thought that would work, at least as a starting point, because they still have that option. And so the other big change was we tried to clarify what the P cards, trying to remove, to not use the P cards for general or professional services. And I apologize, in my write-up, I see that I spelled professional services. There's a typo there. Are not allowed. And really that professional services, that is because of the liability of the insurance requirements. What we have is that some people are having people come on site without the appropriate insurance. They're paying the vendor with a P card. And so we're looking to stop that activity. The P card is really intended, and it's always been stated this way, but it's kind of how it's read and applied. But it's really for that in the moment purchase, right? I need to buy this exchange. And so it's really not intended to pay a vendor for an invoice or something that you're coming on and providing a service. So just trying to clarify some of that. And then we also had an employee mention that they may not have read some of the other policies. So they were kind of referring to this one when they were, instead of reading, say, fully the travel policy. So we want to just make clear that, those other policies still need to be read and applied. So, if you had to get pre-approval for something in the travel policy, that would still be true for using your P card. And so just trying to clarify some of those things that people have come back and said, hey, I didn't know that, so trying to clarify some of those items that we received from our advisory group.
Mr. Bergman?
So Karen, you're basically, this is an attempt to clean up and make this policy a little more adaptable to people's uses. Is that correct?
It's to clean it up and to address probably
Some of the
in some ways
issues.
to tighten it, to limit because we're not seeing that need to be out there quite so free without that need for that food purchase,
Yeah,
without harming.
Any other questions? I didn't know if legal had any comments or administration on this policy. All
Not
good?
at this time.
Okay,
Supportive of policy.
supporting the policy and obviously the work that's been done in this. So with that, I guess we'll, again, being a policy, I think we should take a roll call vote on this one.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mrs. Medema,
Yes.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
Mr. Kleingens,
Yes.
Mr. Belknap.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda, this one's quite an exciting one for me that likes all the different types of infrastructure projects that we do. This would be the 2025 capital improvement plan. We have a suggested motion to review and approve the 2025-2030 capital improvement plan, which a lot of people call the CIP. and then forward it to the Board of Commissioners for consideration.
So moved.
Second?
All right. So Ben, is this you or do we hand this off to Karen?
I believe this is Karen.
Okay. Hello again.
Good morning. So the capital improvement plan. So the annually, the county prepares a capital improvement plan. This is intended to be an overview of what that plan is. Obviously, you have a document attached to your agenda item, which is the plan that has been prepared for fiscal year 25. The capital improvement plan, we're going to talk about what it is, the team that pulls it together, the accomplishments for fiscal year 24, and then what's next in this process. So a capital improvement plan is really a roadmap for infrastructure improvements. So it's the county's way of looking out a few years and seeing the projects that need to be completed and identifying or trying to identify an estimated cost for those. And so basically creating an estimate of what we're going to need to spend and the resources we're going to need. The team, so there is a policy that sets up capital planning. It has the deputy administrator on the team, fiscal services director, facilities director, strategic impact director, and the IT director are all members that sit on the team that review projects and the needs of the county. So as far as accomplishments, I think everybody is very proud of fiscal year 24, the grand opening, Family Justice Center. They just recently had their date of opening was July 23rd. The budget, $32 million. The project was completed within budget. Square footage, 56,000 square feet. You know, there are 3 departments moving into that building with approximately 70 employees. That project has been underway. I've been with the county coming up on 11 years. That project was under discussion when I got here. So certainly a long time in coming, and now to be delivered, I think that's a lot to be really proud of, to have that open and such a beautiful, right on this campus. So that, and you know, I'd say that we probably added a few extra people to our committee. The members from Granger, Susan Franklin, I mean, there was a lot of people really, it was a weekly building authority meeting, really delivering to get that project complete, consistently trying to keep everything moving, address all the little issues that came up at the very end. And I'm sure there's probably still more to come as people move in and still find little things, but so the plan before you kind of lays out the plan for 2025 through 2030. So that's what's in your packet today. Obviously when a lot of the Grand Haven courthouse staff have now moved to this location, there is the Grand Haven courthouse needs to be rearranged, or there's some reconfiguring. I think there's some ideas of how that will look, or a plan that was in place, or some ideas that people had. You know, all of those conversations took place. We had not had a discussion or a lot of discussion about what that looked like. And now that that Family Justice Center is open, I think we're having those conversations. A few months ago, we had a project where the probate court is moving to the Grand Haven Courthouse. And so that project is currently in the works under architect and engineering is designing the changes that need to take place. There's a budget adjustment on finance today with an estimate to try and add some funding to that project, hopefully for some files that, systems that they need in place to have their files with them. So then, obviously, there'll be some other changes that need to take place there. So as those things come up, or as that, now that they're moved, I think that's probably the next big step that's very obvious. I think there's some other moves within the county that have been identified that are currently underway as well. There is the Public Defender's Office. It seems with new staffing, they have grown out of their space. And with the funding from the state, they're currently looking to get estimates to prepare. They have funding from the state to pay for their changeover, but still, we would want that in this plan. Now, even if it's not tax dollars or technically funding from this source. So there's a number of things that are underway that kind of started from the Family Justice Center. You will notice that there is a placeholder, or I don't really like that term in a budget, but there is a project that's $600,000 that we had laid out there last year as a kind of goal for moves and adjustments, furniture changes. And so that is in the works to put together that plan. And so as those things become more finalized, we will bring forward actual projects where the department and facilities and administration support that and can identify those projects, and we'll bring them forward and we'll create actual projects, and then we'll take it from that 600,000 once we have that scope and when we can identify the actual budget for those projects. And then the other items that have been identified there have been things that have been in the works and underway. The parks projects that have been mentioned, Parks does their own master plan, and Parks Commission reviews their projects. We fold their projects into the county projects, so we have one planning document. They're funded by the Parks millage, which, you know, we keep kind of separate, but because it's the millage and it's restricted to parks, and then we kind of fold it all together to show one picture, one unified picture for the county. And I'm glad Kurt's here this morning to, if you had questions particular about the parks projects. They're certainly more exciting maybe than the carpet replacement, but there is, anyways, so the list of projects are there. And so if there's any questions or future review that you'd like to do or need additional description on what those projects are, we're still working on some of the goals that have been established for that team. So as you have that plan in your packet, so what's next? The plan has been presented. As this committee, you know, can, as reviews the plan, the Board of Commissioners would, you know, as this committee reviews it, last year, I think there was a separate work session or prior to board approval, but at some point, the board approving the capital improvement plan. And then the fiscal year 25 budget has been built in. So there's been a plan built in to appropriate the projects in the 25 budget. So that's kind of 26 and 27 are there for more planning, informational purposes. Fiscal year 25 is actually built into the appropriations. And then as that budget is adopted, projects are created October 1st, and we begin starting those.
Okay, Commissioner Bergman.
So Karen, are there any, so these are pretty much things that were on our plan back in 24, correct? For 25? I mean, the last time we saw this plan, they were on, most of these were on the plan, correct?
Pretty much.
So you just moved them forward. Are there
Pretty
any,
much.
are there any huge ones that were not there before that are there now?
That's a good question.
Or not really?
I don't think so. I mean,
Okay, okay.
not that I can think of.
All right. Then I've got a question for admin. So what happened to the, because in the plan for the Family Justice Center was also the rehab of the space, which was supposed to be a small project in Grand Haven, so the probate judge could move his court to Grand Haven soon after the Family Justice Center opened. And I understand that that's not moving along, or if it is, it's moving along very slowly, and it might not even happen this year. So in addition to the fact that it's not moving along very quickly, we are paying more for security over in the building across the way because for something that we really don't need to if it was moved. So why is it not getting moved?
So I think there's two questions there. Why are we paying for the security? And then what's the reason for the delays? I don't know that there's any security savings to be had. I haven't heard that as part of any of the discussion that we would withdraw the security from the Grand Haven courthouse. So I've never heard
It's,
that there's
it's
any.
not the security for the courthouse, it's the security for the probate court across the way.
Sure.
If the court was gone, you wouldn't have the security over there. The court is still there.
Uh, So to get to, I think the main point of your question, which is what's causing the delays or what's slowing it down. There've been a variety of issues that have come up. One issue is their files. You know, moving their files has been a challenge. Trying to make sure that the files can be securely moved to the new location. There's just been a variety of issues that have caused delays. We're in contact. All the stakeholders on this are in touch with one another. The move is still happening. There's a lot of moving pieces to this, so it's
So I'm just concerned about the fact that it's been delayed. And so I would encourage you to try to speed the process up.
sure. No, I think
That's all.
that's fair. And we can give you more details. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of it off the top of my head, but I know everybody wants to move faster, but there's just been a lot of issues that have come up with moving a court.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you. That's all I have.
Commissioner Medema?
I guess I'm wondering, building usage, like the assessment, where we're at with that and how that relates to the capital improvement plan. And I know there's been specific discussion about Veterans Affairs and where they might be potentially in the future. So I guess I'm wondering if you have any insight on that, Ben?
That was originally part of the CIP. I think that there's some question about, since we're opening the Justice Center and what the needs are going to be over the next 5 and 10 years, really the best use. I mean, we had talked about, basically, to be specific, we had talked about getting a vendor and paying them, 125, I think was kind of the rough RFP estimate on what that would be to build the plan. But I think there's still some concerns about putting that out and getting a product that we really can't rely on as much as we want to because of a variety of factors. I know Karen and I have discussed this quite a bit. The new facilities director and I have discussed this quite a bit. I think that we will have a much better RFP if we do a little more planning before we put the RFP out on that. And that's something that's definitely going on right now. And that I know that the new facilities director, Cameron, is working on right now. And that's something that we want to have first.
I guess is has it been considered, like the RFP, part of the process, planning for that amount of money, part of the capital improvement plan? Does that need to be considered in our plan at all? Like, so when you're talking about having someone do an assessment and paying for that, does that need to be taken into account with this plan?
It does, so just as a practical matter, we are renumbering the suites in Fillmore, and we are kind of doing a very, some of the logistics that are necessary so that it'll make that RFP a lot quicker and easier and cheaper when we do finally roll it out. And so, that's work that we can do right now with with facilities. If we have to make an adjustment later to the CIP to hopefully have a cheaper RFP for the study and the survey, I think that's where our thinking is right now, is that this is an easy place that we can cut costs, save a little bit of money, and have a better product in the end.
Do you have any time frame, kind of where we're at with this whole discussion?
I know it's been ongoing for quite a while. I didn't realize, no, I'll give Karen credit. She pointed out some good things that we needed to do, such as the renumbering the facilities, not the rooms. We haven't put a timeline on it, but I know urgency is here because we want to, this has been dragging on for so long. I need to sit down with facilities and ask them if they can put a better timeline on it, and we'll report that back to you.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
I think the other question I had on the CIP was wondering if the ADA that was mentioned, if that will be, is that a full coverage to catch us up to speed, to make us fully ADA compliant? Like, are all the buildings addressed currently?
In discussions, as it's been explained to me, we are ADA compliant. I think there are ways that we can be more accessible and create a higher standard. So, our goal is to be ADA compliant today, but there are things that we can do that would create a higher standard and be better. I know this is a priority for facilities. This is something we want to do. There are improvements that we want to make, small ones and larger ones. And that's something that should be put into that space study, but that's also something that is a definite priority for facilities.
So speaking specifically to the projects that the board added last year during the review process of the CIP, so that those there was engineers hired and contracts established. There was an engineer, and I don't recall which one exactly, that specializes in ADA, and they are, there was a scope of work identified where they are going through the facilities that were identified. And I think, at least as I understood it, the plan was to have them do kind of an assessment of what could be done, present maybe one or maybe two. I think it was more than one option, but maybe two options. And then for the projects that existed, and then use that information to apply a wider view of more facilities, as I understood it, based on the information that would come out from those facilities.
I would imagine that the building usage RFP, at the same time looking at your ADA, would be a conversation that you're kind of working on hand in hand at the same time. Because there could be some, if there's moving around of anything, how we're using our buildings. Anyway, it's just food for thought, but you're probably already ahead of that.
Well, and that's a great point, and that's one part of the discussion is, one thing we want to be clear before we put out an RFP is to prioritize the departments that are more public facing and make sure that they're closer to the entrances little things like that, that if we have that ready for a vendor, we'll get a better product.
I was just gonna throw out there if there was any specific questions related to parks. We have Kurt Terhar with us, and this list of the parks projects has been approved by the Parks Commission already, but I just wanted to offer up that opportunity if we wanted to go deeper in any of those projects. And as well as we have Paul Sachs, our Director of Strategic Impact, with us too. And there's a few projects on the list that represents that department, so. Okay, hearing none. So as we continue through this development of the next budget cycle, the full commission will get sort of a more deeper dive into these projects at a later date. So really, this committee is kind of encouraging that momentum, for furthering the budget development. So we'll have multiple opportunities, to ask questions and dig deeper. So any other questions? Okay, thank you, Karen. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate the work on this, and thanks, Ben. All right. So this again being something of a financial matter and really policy matter as far as a budget item, I'd like to take this to the roll call vote for moving on.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Mrs. Medema,
Yes.
Mr. Kleingens,
Yes.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
Mr. Belknap.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, without any committee reports today, we do have another opportunity for public comment. As earlier, we have opportunity for members of the audience to approach the podium and give comment for 3 minutes. Second call. Okay, third call. All right, you guys are pretty quiet today. So with that, we'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.